Hi folks, this is Sara Perry and welcome back to my channel. And today we're going to be discussing how we can reframe our ideas about sex and sexuality into a type of sexual experience that is very different than what we have been kind of conditioned to believe we should be having. So we're going to start kind of describing what performative-based sex is. Performative-based sex talks about definitely penetration, the pressure that somebody in the experience, it doesn't have to be a person with a penis, but it can be and tends to be a person that has a penis. The pressure to keep and maintain an erection long enough to control their rhythm of ejaculation to something that kind of fits the finality of sex. The idea that somebody who is receiving the penetration is going to be lubricated, that they are going to be pain-free, the idea that they're going to be in the right positions, or that the positions that you're in will work and you won't have to switch positions to kind of keep up with whatever your body's asking for. Other things that go into performative sex is the idea of an orgasm, right? Like the coerced orgasm. In fact, some pretty recent research that was displayed at the Quad-S conference, the Society for the Scientific Study of Sexuality conference last year, showed that coercion to have an orgasm, it has very similar characteristics to coercion to actually have sex. So how can we change our sexual dynamics with people so that you don't have someone being like, you're not coming, when are you gonna come? I don't understand, how do you need me to move, da 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 da. You're creating all of this extra pressure that your sex doesn't absolutely need to have. In fact, it doesn't need to have it at all. Other ideas behind performative sex are kind of, like not needing any kind of assistance via toys, via lubrication, and also most of the time that it is heteronormative, that there are straight people performing it, that they're able-bodied people that can move in different directions. We don't stop to think about it, but sometimes someone may really not have the ability to move their shoulder very well, for example, and a position that may have worked with any other partner would have been fantastic, but in this case actually could not be done, and how that can throw a wrench in the entire situation and keep you from being able to enjoy your sexual experience. So performative based sex is very much PIV, penis and vagina sex, and I am thinking that it is time to restructure how we feel about our sex, because our sex lives can be whole if we are single. Our sex lives can be whole if we are asexual. They can be whole if we are demisexual, and they can be whole if we are partnered monogamously or with multiple partners. And we need to find easier ways to kind of let people express whatever sex they want, and not only let people express it, but teach our children that sex is not an action that has a beginning and an end. So let's think about what a regular sex experience is like. Typically, there's some preamble like kissing, making out. If you are in a stable monogamous relationship, that tends to look like you're used to getting in bed at night and putting your hand on your partner and then starting to have sex because you've done like a very minor sign of attention, and then they've reciprocated. And then you get on top of each other or next to each other, rub your bodies together, penis and vagina, and then work towards ejaculation. And ejaculation is typically the end. And if you are in a very, very, very progressive household, then potentially the female's orgasm is just as important, and then maybe you will use a toy or masturbate to orgasm, and then it's over and you go to sleep. But our relationship to sex in this manner certainly has a lot of issues. In fact, people report that they're not super happy in their sexual relationships after 5 years of marriage. And if we're intending on staying with partners much, much longer, then that just seems like a big flaw in the system. Like, why are we teaching something that is statistically proven to bring about dissatisfaction? Alternatively, I'd like to provide the idea that sex is a ritual, that the ritual does not begin with any kind of sexual past or any kind of physical touch. The ritual begins with preparation. A lot of times, people who engage in kinks and are in kink communities report much higher incidences of sexual satisfaction with monogamous partners. And I don't think that it's specifically because of kinks. I think kinks are great, and if you have kinks and fetishes, then you should explore them and enjoy them. I do. But I also think that it goes further. I believe that people with kinks have established kind of patterns of sexual negotiation that start long before sex. The same way that people that are just starting to date tend to do things to get ready for a date, like pick a restaurant and then spend the whole day thinking about how fantastic the restaurant will be, or shave, or do their hair, or take showers, or pick out an outfit that they like to adorn their body in, so that they can like show themselves like a little peacock on their date. The idea here is that there's a disconnection in the preparation that I consider to be part of the sexual routine that it seems that we lose when we are in like consensually monogamous long-term relationships. And I think that if we can go back to that and include that as part of the sexual experience, we could actually be changing people's satisfactions greatly. Secondly, we should just throw out the outdated idea that someone needs to have an erection or someone needs to get penetrated for it to count as sex. There are many lesbians. There are lesbians all over every country right now having absolutely no penetration and very much considering themselves non-virgins. So we should at least acknowledge to ourselves and to our children that penetration, whether with a toy or with a penis, is not a mandatory part of sex. And the moment we do that, we automatically relinquish the responsibility of anybody with a penis to absolutely show up because they are the star of the show. We can just say, you get to exist as a person and not as a body part, and my connection to you, or our connection in this moment, has nothing to do with the fact that you have this body part. And if the body part chooses to show up and participate, then we'll use it. And if it doesn't, then we'll be okay. I think this tends to be a lot more inclusive for a lot of people, but also, even if it wasn't inclusive, the idea of lowering the bar so you can just relax and enjoy your body and your partner or partners sounds like it would benefit anybody anyways. And then thirdly, we should not be having sex with the idea that orgasms are the goal. There are millions of people in this world who are incapable of orgasm. There are people with disabilities, with bodies that are not able to feel that type of sensation, and their sexual experiences have nothing to do with some kind of climax finale. What it has to do with is pleasure and accessing pleasure in areas that they typically don't access. And that can look like something simple like stroking the inside of somebody's arm or legs, like the parts of your body that people don't tend to touch, similarly behind the ears or behind the neck. These areas are so arousing because they're not used to having contact with things. And we can bring pleasure into other people and into our lives if we can just accept pleasure as it comes without having an agenda and something that says, this is what is required of you showing up to this pleasure party. So there you have it. This is how we can change our minds a little bit from the ideas of performative sex and the people who profit off of it towards kind of more enjoyable, intuitive sexual practices that as a whole are more inclusive and can heal our worlds in ways that we can't even imagine. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time.